welcome to part 2 of our first episode of VOICELED. I just wanted to thank the Nor'easters again for letting us feature them, and I wanted to thank Elliott, who was so gracious with his time and with the sheet music that he lent to us so that we could use as a nice visual for this video, which, by the way, please don't take that. What you should do instead is go on Facebook or Twitter or in the comments and tell us what else you want to see or who you want to hear or what songs you want us to break down. But without further ado, please enjoy part 2.
And I see.
Just two voices, that's very important. That's very important right there, is just like, and I see you. We just came from like 14-part harmony. The whole thing's been so dense and so like texturally just like taking up the whole keyboard with sound, and then just that's it. I was really struggling to like see if I could add like, you know, like that even, which is like pretty, but like just having those two voices is just like such like a
feels very
contrast.
genuine.
It's such a contrast from everything that came before it, and that was very important to retain right there.
I know for me, when in like really important statements in songs, I really love to like narrow it down. I often like will leave it to the lead.
Yeah,
More often than not, and this is like kind of like that moment for me where it's just like this lead line, this lyric is like is very important. I don't want to distract from it in any way possible. So just having two lines, I think, like really allowed for that to happen. Because that "and I see you" is just so significant.
It's such a poignant line right there. Like after all this stuff, "and I see you," and "see" just has that like laser sharp like that fifth, that moment of clarity,
and you lead it into a second.
Yeah, it's starting from like a very like consonant like, oh yes, fifth to just like, where's this gonna go? I could have harmonized it, done like a big, you know, or whatever, like that, but no, like just two voices right there.
Is there a chord implied here? Is there like a chord that I know, like part of what I love about very sparse moments, like Freedom's Boombox, for example, is that like there's a lot that's already really implied. Yeah. Is there a chord that you have implied here?
No.
No? Okay.
Well, because for one thing, like that is how the original song goes. He does do, and like, but like I said, I could have harmonized it. Like you could imply, you know, like I guess having this C sharp to E with A in the bass does imply A major, but it could easily be.
Yeah.
It could easily be that, but I didn't want to give it that. I for a little while I had like a third part there. I had to get rid of it.
Yeah.
That like this ambiguity of like, it's just like, that's just so striking.
Yeah, and I think that second also just allows for a lot of ambiguity, which I think is really nice.
We love ambiguity.
We love ambiguity.
I love ambiguity in arranging. Oh my god.
Turn around in my 18. Turn around now in my 18.
So there, for the turnarounds, this is an example of repeated material makes it more impactful. Repeated material makes it more impactful. Repeated material. Yes, makes it more impactful. Yeah, not a lot was added through each repetition. There's one like cheeky Berkeley turnaround that I used with that turnaround now, that like silly little like, you know, 5/7 up 6.
The E sharp.
Yeah. If you depends on what we're gonna think about this in like A or F sharp, whatever. I'm at least 5 people are gonna like come at me for saying 5/7 of 6 when I chose a 5/7 of 3 or 5/7 3 instead of 5/7 of 6. But you know what? That's just like the life I choose to live. So turnaround, we finally give the sopranos their time to shine. This is just fairly standard. This is just harmonizing from the top down with the bass and just with filling everything in there. Something that I really love to do is whenever I have like this sort of thing, is to put like a second below in the middle voice. Because another example, I was talking about how this has kind of this sound, the happy, yay, we arrived, and the we're going somewhere. But having it here almost sound, it's minor. Or it could be major. Hear the difference between and So having both. This is used a lot in having no sustain pedal, so let's see how this goes. But, you know. I'll play it again. It's used in, you know.
Shenandoah. Yeah.
Also Shenandoah. This isn't So It Goes by Billy Joel.
Okay.
But it's a similar thing. You have that feeling of just like pulling, releasing, like not quite like halfway between there. So when you finally arrive, it just is like similar thing. You have that thing. There.
In that case, where you're placing the tension is kind of altering whether you're going for an arrival. It's always going to be like an attempt at an arrival versus like the way that you're like creating kind of like turmoil almost. Like it's kind of, it's influencing the way it's supposed to feel. Yeah.
Because I use the same voicing without that tension on the because it once might not mean something. It's the same thing, but it's just. But on You're My A-Team, I use. Just a little different. A little different there.
All right. Big money time. Big money time.
Big money time.
Turn around, you're my A-team. Turn around now, you're my A-team. Goddamn, turn around now.
Amazing. Oh, you thought it was
These two measures have given me the most stress when I was arranging this, because this is the furthest thing from what the original song does. He just goes, "Turn around, you're my A-team. Turn around now, you're my A-team. Goddamn, turn around, you're my A-team." And so for like the earliest drafts of this arrangement, including like one that like the North sang for like literally like probably like one show, was just goddamn turn around, you're my A-team, like just that, like in that phrasing. And we could never get the goddamn to like hit right because like it was just so fast, it was so like consonant heavy. But it was such an important thing. It was like this turn around, finally goddamn turn around, like finally just this like exasperation. And we couldn't figure out a way to like get that. And so finally I just staggered it, you know, like choral music is all the time, like some parts start like a sentence and then they kind of hold out and then the parts come in on another thing. A similar thing here. So by doing that I could have sopranos, altos, and tenor ones just set up this like really like crunchy, what did I even write here? Like literally like that's the chord on damn. It's like an A.
All the notes.
All the notes except G. Except the G. Or G sharp. Because, like, we don't need that. God damn. Damn is that chord. It's another example of using a cluster chord for that effect. Bringing in the man with that. And then we finally have that chord. We bring it all the way up. We have that chord. We bring it all the way up to a very high position. That chord. Inspired by Voices in Your Head, We Found Love. Yeah. You know, that big like chord, and then they like which is in turn inspired from Barbershop, like just like holding out a chord, like three people hold out the chord, one person holds up the chord, three people just like hit a chord and then like up to the next thing.
But in this case it's one person and like 15
and then like 15 other people, yeah. But this is just like, this is what I wanted like pain to sound like. This is just like the widest crunchiest chord I've used in this entire arrangement. And then I reached for a non-existent sustain pedal just now. And then like down there, going to just that same kind of add 4, going up to And that voicing is very specific because you have every person in the group singing like at like near like the comfy but still kind of like top part of their range.
Mm-hmm.
Your bass two's like up there now. Baritones now they're like up all the way up there. Mm-hmm. Tenors are up there. Altos are really comfy, and that's fine because this note in the context of this chord, that tension note, I don't want it to be overpowering that bright, brilliant third that the tenors are holding. So the altos are singing the A, and it's right in the middle of their range, whereas the G sharp and the tenor is like really high.
Yeah.
So you'll hear the tenor note more, and the alto note is going to be like loud, still belted, but just like in the back. Mm-hmm. Sopranos just holding out that like bright fifth.
Yeah. The altos seem to be holding a lot of support for this chord more than anything.
They are, although like if you just had the tenors and basses doing just their parts. Oh, with the 9. Just be a bright, nice, happy, like yay, like add 9 chord. The altos are the ones that are bringing in this note, which changes it. Imagine just going from 2. Mm-hmm. Adding that note just like it gives it that like whole new sound, and it just sounds like just anguish, just by adding that one note into that chord. Yeah, it reminds me of like the THX sound effects. Yeah, you know, like that played way too loudly, and it just went on forever, and then it finally hit, and it was like your ears were blown out, and like the hair was all like back, like you know, it's that's the effect. It's that like just that like visceral like anguish. I keep coming back to, but that's what that chord is, I think.
You're my
That's the second instance of like a very noticeable reharmonization, because in the original it just does the exact same goddamn turn around now. That's it. And that's how the song ends. It ends like that, but like I wanted it to have that like unresolved feeling, so I just brought it down. Brought it down, and having it end on that minor chord, just like, it's not even that, it's like, yes, that's it. You have to have that 9 in there. It just has this like sorrow all of a sudden. We have that like bright, you know, it's just like anything that like, any moment where you were kind of feeling uplifted by that beautiful soprano melody, all of a sudden it's just like, oh, you know. Yeah.
And I really love that tension there, because it comes after like this
the big
three times repeated call out.
Yeah.
And then it's just like still remains unresolved. Like there was this call out to like somebody that you're like trying to speak to, and then
still not there.
Still not unanswered.
It's still not there. And then big arranging choice, I ended the song with the way that it begins, which is not in the original. Just repeated.
Down along the creek, I remember something.
Yeah, so right there, that's a big departure from the way that the voicing was done earlier in the song. Sopranos have the melody, they're right in a comfy range. Altos and tenors on a low D singing down along the creek, and for them it's very whispery, and like it's not the most like powerful like big tenor note. It's like very low. I could have written that for the basses, but that might have just been a little bit too like strong. I wanted it to sound like it was really like 3 sections, just like really kind of like getting to that whispery part of their voice, and then just that final like. That's the final chord. Something. It sounds more harsh on the piano, but it's just that ambiguity ending it, and everything is just really like tense up in the sopranos and altos, and then really open in the tenors and basses. I say tenors and altos, sopranos and altos. It's really like close together on something for sopranos and altos, something, and then in tenors and basses. It's the biggest thing you'll see in this arrangement is that baritones and basses, tenors and basses will always like have like a fifth, you know, like, or, you know, an octave, like just always there to have like a really nice warm low end, and then really all the crunchiness is happening right in the middle or right at the top.
Yeah.
So that's just how it just ends with this like whispered, like held out on this like very like crunchy, just like, but with intention, not just like, ooh, like I'm gonna reharm it and add every note because I can. It's just, it's because this isn't. It's because imagine if the song's ended like, I remember something. Totally different feel than ending it with, I remember something. Totally different.
Yeah. And then that N at the end just adds a really nice like string texture on top of that.
I love my string textures.
Yeah. Yeah, you're really good at that. The fifth at the bottom with the N is always like you're like, it almost like immediately sounds like a cello. Just
and
sound.
you know, like that's the thing. I saw there was like a thread on the Casa Facebook page about like what vowel do I use to replicate strings, and there were some like really good suggestions in there. Like usually ooh, e, ah, like those are all good. But the thing with string voicings and why I love it, like I'm a string player, is that the string instruments, the violin, viola, cello, bass, they were all like designed to emulate the voice. They don't use breath the way that like a wind instrument or a brass instrument obviously
they're the
does.
closest instrument though.
But in terms of timbre and what you can do with like the slight variances in the way that you hold the bow and you draw the bow across the string can change like little subtleties in the way that like a note is phrased, in the same way that like just modifying how you're like placing your larynx, or how like one slight subtle change in your mouth, like in your tongue position, can change the vowel and change like the brightness or darkness. And so because of that, like when I think of creaks, and this specifically this arrangement of creaks, I weirdly think of it like a string orchestra is playing it. I don't imagine it like it's a choir. Like, even though there are all these words, and I didn't like actually have people doing like imitating strings and doing wide vibrato on it, like it sound like I wrote it out the way that like a string player would play it. Even though it's filled with words, it still just like has the phrasing, I think, of like a string piece. The way that the chords are voiced with the low fifths in the bottom, like that's exactly how you'd voice for cellos, like. And like not just cellos, for any instrument, like pianos, pianos, guitar, brass voicings, low fifths, spread voicings. Those are all things.
Keeps it from getting muddy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Common mistake in beginning arrangement.
Oh yeah, writing the bass and baritone parts like way too low, like and like then leaving a big gap. That's a very common mistake. But this arrangement is just built on just like the distance between like bass, baritone, tenor, and then like you have things like closer up when you come to like the higher voicings, and then really wide in the lower voices. Yeah, and that makes things very like warm and like string-like.
It's very interesting because I know like I've worked with you a lot on like different arrangements, and getting to see this one especially, because usually you're working with something almost from scratch and like kind of just taking a lot of different pieces and working in your own new pieces. But it's very interesting getting to like talk to you, especially about this one, because it was like you were taking a work that was already very choral, and your arrangement of it, its purpose was to like retell the story just with like the correct minutia. This is like the kind of thing that I can't see a lot of people doing. This song is an incredible story. And then on top of that, when you think of it in the context of the set and like the group that got to do it, that's all those elements added together. That's what made this stand out so much. You put so much thought into every little thing. So I really appreciate you like going through every single thing for us.
Oh my god, no, yeah, of course. This arrangement is very, very special to me, and this song was very, very special to me. I must have listened to the live version of that song like a million times. And if you listen to that specific live version from like his concert in, like, I think like in like Eau Claire, Wisconsin, like the phrasing, he phrases it the way that like the Nor'easters phrase it, because that's where I got it from. He phrases certain things very specific ways, and you can you'll probably be able to hear like where this phrasing of the arrangement came from, because it came from that specific version. Yeah. You know, it's like it's like if you listen to a song, if you're told to arrange a song, and the first thing you listen to is a remix of the song instead of the original. That's going to impact the way you arrange the original song.
Yeah.
Even if you then later hear what the original sounds like. Like I heard the studio recorded version of Creeks that Bon Iver did, and I used those two like bass movement things from it, but like nothing else. Like it was too like it didn't work for what I wanted to create. So I always would just refer to these live versions.
Yeah.
Because then the phrasing, just the warmth, like the echo from the stadium, like the way everything like just would reverberate, like everything just like it that's really what like aesthetically dictated what this arrangement was going to sound like.
Yeah. That's awesome. Thanks, man.
Yeah, man.
Appreciate it.
It was a good time.
This is awesome. Man, I always learn so much from you.
This is fun.
Yeah. All right. Thanks. I'm not gonna do an outro. I'm just gonna make later me do an outro. All right.
Later.
Hey, I'm Evan. Thank you so much for watching. If for some reason you haven't already watched part 1, we'll link that somewhere up here for you to check out. Please do let us know what you thought in the comments, who you want to see, what you want to see us talk about. We'll do our best to make it happen. If you're new to Head Voice, we've actually mostly been an audio podcast for the past 2 years, and we have 70+ episodes with a bunch of amazing people from acapella and vocal music, and all our episodes are actually on our YouTube channel, as well as Spotify, Apple Podcasts. If you're interested in that kind of thing, if you're interested specifically in the Nor'easters, we actually have an episode with Elliott, we've done an episode with Shams Ahmed, we've done 2 episodes with Ryan Hannon, the second of which we actually broke down the choreography for this 2017 ICCA set, and so we'll link those all in the description below. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss the next one, and happy arranging.